Last September, I had to decide the subject of my thesis. At that time, the world was facing a difficult situation. An American and Allied military intervention seemed unavoidable. The letter of Pope Francis to Russian President Putin on September 3, 2013, on the occasion of the G20 in St. Petersburg, changed in some ways the course of history. A military intervention in Syria could have triggered a larger conflict. I lived in Syria and Damascus for almost 2 years, and I must say that it's in my heart. Living the revolution and the consequent destruction of this beautiful country really touched me. But most of all, it has opened my eyes on the mechanisms and strategies at play in a similar context. I left Syria on October 2011 when I decided to study in this university. In the meantime, on the other side of the world, Brazil was living its glorious moment after the discovery of the huge pre-salt reservoir offshore, out of the coast of Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, 5,000-meter depth in the Atlantic Ocean. This discovery will lead Brazil toward energy independence and a new geopolitical role. This important change brought me to focus on energy resources. I have therefore decided the subject of my thesis, the king of energy resources. Clearly, studying English, Portuguese, and Arabic supported this choice. Today, virtually every commercial activity in our global economy relies heavily on oil and other fossil fuels, as are most of our pharmaceutical products. We have built an entire civilization on the exhumed carbon deposits of the Carboniferous period. Despite the fact that Germany conducted many efforts to promote the use of renewable energy resources, these latter are far away from meeting energy efficiency requirement and global demand. Demographic growth and industrialization of many developing countries translate into skyrocketing demand of energy resources which, until recent times, were destined only to the rich world. The Fukushima nuclear disaster and the consequent closure of nuclear facilities in Japan and Germany have just deepened our reliance on fossil fuels. Clearly, the wars will continue to be fought for these resources as well as water or coltan. It is a fact that ever new conflicts spread all over the world. These conflicts are fought in different ways. Technology, space, information, finance, and commerce fields are all part of the game on this chessboard. It may look like a complex system. However, in reality, it's a system based on a sort of prehistoric logic, hence foreseeable and simple. The dominant mechanism remains creating a problem to solve the problem. Let's look at the Middle East, for instance. A battle and complete mess is raging over whether pipelines will go toward Europe from east to west, from Iran and Iraq to the Mediterranean coast of Syria, or take a more northbound route from Qatar and Saudi Arabia via Syria and Turkey. Having realized that the stalled Nabucco pipeline, and indeed the entire southern corridor, are backed up only by Azerbaijan's reserves and can never equal Russian supplies to Europe, the West want to replace them with resources from the Persian Gulf. Syria happened to be a geopolitical pivot in the middle of competing pipeline projects. Bashar al-Assad signed a memorandum in Bushehr on June 25, 2011, regarding the construction of a new Iran-Iraq-Syria gas pipeline, stretching for 1,500 kilometers from As-Salouye, on the largest gas field in the world, North Dome South Pars, shared between Iran and Qatar, to Damascus, and from there possibly to Europe through Greece. Experts believe that this project could be an alternative to the Nabucco gas pipeline being promoted by the European Union, which doesn't have sufficient reserves. The Sunnite countries see the Islamic pipeline from the viewpoint of interfaith contradictions. considering it a Shiite pipeline from Shiite Iran through the territory of Iraq with its Shiite majority and into the territory of Shiite-friendly Alawite Assad. But if there is one word that defines 2014 is transition. As a matter of fact, something has changed this year. All those at Geneva for the marathon talks were fully aware of Iran's importance as the world's geostrategic pivot. By paving the way for peace with Tehran, the Obama administration has moved a step forward in its strategic pivot from the Middle East to East Asia. Iran is likely to emerge as the centerpiece of a vicious pipeline war, in which the Western alliance is expected to compete with rising economies for the diversion of Eurasia's vast resources in their direction. All the historic, economic, and geopolitical aspects of the fossil fuels are language mediators' essential background. Language mediator could be similarly compared to what Cicero described being a good orator, id est vid vir bonus dicendi peritus, where bonus is the skill of weaving relations and the ability of understanding the different cultures to be mediated, or to get the quid, which could be the link between different worlds, while dicendi peritus is the correct use of language in its numerous nuances that a skilled language mediator knows. He/she must be a skilled person capable to understand not only the practical or economical problem, but also to grasp and understand speakers' psychology. At the end of the day, language mediator is a great expert of humankind. This role will never be replaced by computers, because the quid that make the difference, it's our being human. That is to say, it's a variable intelligence, not an exact science. The oil and gas industry is constantly in advance. Being one of the world's top leading industries, its operations are conducted on large scale, and the effects involve different aspects of a scenario. That is precisely the reason why the oil and gas industry is a stimulating challenge for language mediators' curiosity and an interesting area to work on.